life is all about the decisions that you make. Everybody makes different decisions, and everything that I have, nothing was given to me. There's been tons of sacrifices. So I tell people out there that look and say, oh, that must be nice, or he's so lucky. Change your mindset. You got to be willing to embrace the things and love the things that people won't tolerate. You can go do this, but it's going to require a lot of hard work and a lot of sacrifice. Okay, if you watched All in One, you got to see a lot of these bucks, but I'm most excited to get this guy back here. This was the one from last year that I chased, just a monster Pennsylvania buck, 165 inches, but super pumped to get him on the wall. I mean, it was a heck of a story. If you haven't seen that show, I'd encourage you to watch it. But it was funny the other day, Liza said to me, she's like, oh, you're out of room. You don't have any more room for mounts. I was like, yeah, right. I go, I can fit at least 2 or 3 more on this wall. I can fit one there. I can fit another one over there. I can fit, I don't know, 4 or 5 over there. And there's plenty of wall space. And I'm hoping this year to add one more. So
I'm not really sure where he's coming up with this space, but yeah. We can rotate some out. That's where I'm at. Can rotate them.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know.
So obviously last year, unbelievable season, maybe the biggest buck I'll ever shoot in my life. That's just the realistic part of it. I may never see another buck that big. Ended up scoring 165 inches. And I think for a lot of people, you come off a year and some people look at it as like, oh, I want to top next year. I want to do better than next year. I'm never that way. You know, one of the things that makes me sad in hunting a little bit is I see a lot of people that have turned hunting into a competition. You know, their neighbor Bob shot a big buck and I want to shoot a bigger buck than Bob, or I want to do this because of Bob. To me, hunting is not a competition with other people. I'm a competitive guy, played sports in college, you know, so I'm a competitive person. But for me, hunting is a very personal journey. And every year it's a competition with myself. Not to shoot a bigger buck, but just to compete with myself, make sure I make the season everything it can be. The one thing that, you know, always kind of bothers me a little bit is, you know, hunters as a whole kind of tear each other apart. If you don't hunt exactly the way that I do, then you're not hunting, right? And, you know, from the time I've been 12 years old, I grew up on my dad's little farm, 50 acres, and we hunted it. It would be my dad, my grandpa, my sister, my brother. We'd have 5-6 people on a real small chunk of ground. And I remember from the time I was little, I just loved going and looking and you know, coming up with strategy. And I always remember thinking to myself, someday I want to have my own ground, right? I want to have my own ground that I'm going to be able to make it exactly the way I want and have deer and turkeys everywhere. And that was all. I remember being little and thinking that. And for me, that's how I like to hunt. I have guys, you know, I respect guys a lot that hunt state game lands and they hunt 6 miles back in and they take a saddle in and you know, and can do that. I mean, that's great. And if that's how you want to hunt, that's awesome. But for me personally, you know, having my own piece of property, making that property better, I work on it all the time. I love it. There's nothing I like more than doing that. So, and it's kind of a big thing. I'd encourage hunters to, you know, if a hunter's doing it legally and ethically in their county, doesn't mean you have to hunt that way, but man, you can be happy for them, right? You can be happy for the guy that, you know, that did it his way and got a buck. Might not be the way that I want to do it, but that's all right. You know, as long as you're being a legal, ethical hunter. So for me, just owning ground and working my tail off, working my butt off. And I've
I've had lots of guys say to me, oh yeah, it's, you know, it's easy going, you know, try hiking back in 6 miles. Well, I say, try coming with me for a whole summer, you know, and doing all the work that I do, because man, it is a ton of work, but I love it. I love being able to do hunting stuff all year long. So just a little thing, you know, like it's the good and the bad. We talk about social media and what you see coming out of people, but we're all hunters. We like to do it our own way. Some guys like to do it like I do it, and some guys like to do it different ways. That's cool.
I've been extremely blessed and fortunate to shoot, you know, 5 really, really nice bucks here in Pennsylvania, all with kind of in the last, you know, 6-7 years. And it starts to make people think that it's easy, right? You know, that it's not hard. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You know, I think we all know the one guy who went out and rifle, and the one year he got lucky and shot a really big buck, and you know, and maybe he knew it was there and it wasn't even luck, but the point is they're not around every tree, you know, and it takes a ton of work. And unfortunately, with me being successful, like I said, people have this idea that, hey, these big bucks it's easy for them. It's not. It's really hard.
Because I've known the people that make these statements. Oh, if I had the food plots Jason has, I'd shoot a big buck every year, and that couldn't be further from the truth. And I like to say, well, build some food plots and see how you make out.
You know, I talk about the property that I manage, you know, is about, you know, 4 or 5 miles from my house. And I've had it now for, you know, going on 12 years now, and didn't shoot a big buck for the first 3 or 4 years, right? You know, and it took all the time and effort that went in to building that property up, that now year in, year out, I'm consistently finding a mature 4.5-year-old deer. And it's kind of amazing, right? You know, people say, how do you keep doing this? You know, because I don't have thousands and thousands of acres, you know, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time, but I directly attribute that to my success and being able to year on, year out, get on a big, mature Pennsylvania whitetail. All right, it's the end of winter here, and a lot of people think, oh, you just go out and find a place and have a food plot and shoot a big buck. It just doesn't work that way. And we're here at the end of winter, and we're getting ready for season coming up. I've got my mower here, getting it cleaned up. Got a flat tire on my chisel plow over here, getting it fixed. But, you know, you've heard me say it before, there's no such thing as luck. I found the harder I work, the more luck that I have. And it is an all year, you know, process. You know, there's no time off. We'll get started here in the winter with getting our soil samples. We'll start putting in the spring plots. There's just work to do all the time. And I'm not complaining about it, because I love it. I love being able to do something hunting all year long instead of just wait until September, go out and scout a little bit, put a tree stand in. It's super cool for me that all year long I can be thinking, doing, getting ready for hunting. But again, no such thing as luck. It's a lot of hard work, and we get after it every year. There really isn't much of an off season. I hear guys talk about the off season all the time. I really don't have that, because we'll get that buck and we spend hunting season and we hunt all the way through January. Well, man, we're right up against it where all the food plot work is going to start. All the habitat management things that I'm doing, we're going to start with frost seeding in the winter. We're going to go frost seed, and that's a method that we use to get our plots to grow really full and lush. And then we're out there, next thing we're doing soil sampling, and that's in the spring. And then we're, you know, getting in there and spraying our food plots and, you know, killing weeds, and then we're mowing throughout the entire summer. It never really ends, you know, for me. And so I tell people, you know, there is no off season, you know, when it comes to doing what I'm doing. And it's because I love it. You know, it's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't love it like I do, and that's okay. But for me, I'm going to go out, give it everything I got every year, and that season starts as soon as the season before ended.
How'd that go for you? Getting too old for this nonsense. That beat the crap out of me. Woo!
I started a food plot habitat management consulting company, and it's been going for 3 years now. and it's just really blown up. So you talk about all the work on my food plots, right? So I have a big timber company call me this year and they say, hey, we want you to take our properties, make these properties a turnkey solution, and then we're going to sell them. So now, on top of all the work that I'm doing, I got this new business that I'm doing, that I'm putting these food plots in and I'm doing these things. And there's nothing that's been better for me and more rewarding in that business than going to a client, helping them look at their property. I'm like a kid at Christmas when I do it. And I love the aspect that I get to go help people. So I'll go there and look at their property, give them a plan on what to do. And then when I get that email from them saying, hey man, thank you so much. Here's my buck from this year. Everything you gave me. That is one of the most rewarding things. But that being said, it just added a whole other level of work that goes into my season. And again, I'm not complaining because I'm busy. That's a good thing, right? But just the level amount of work that goes into doing all the food plots just went to a whole other level. We hang a ton of stands. Right now I don't have a shooter buck. So, we got a lot of stands up, but we always put a bunch new. I have these new properties. So man, we're out putting a ton of tree stands up. And then the trail cameras, right? We got to get the trail cams out. We use a lot of the Moultrie mobile cellular technology. It's been great for, being able to stay out of the woods and see what deer you have. So again, just a nonstop process.
He has a work ethic that's pretty impressive, actually. There's never a day where we have nothing to do. We'll just stand around and loaf. There's always something to do. And we work all the time, and we still never get everything done, it seems like. And I don't know what that's about. If we're getting too old to keep up with it, or if we have too many things going on, I don't know. So.
I pride myself and I think sometimes people lose track of the sight, but we owe it to the animal to harvest that animal as cleanly and ethically as what we can. That means taking good angles on our shots, broadside, quartering away. We're not taking bad angles. But the big thing, practicing. That when you pull that bow back, your arrow is going to go where you want it to go.
I don't even know what month he starts shooting. If it's July, whatever. And he has all his targets out in the yard, and that's right there. You can tell, it's time to start. And he never misses a day. Shoots.
I practice every day. Every day I go out and shoot 20, 30 shots. Last year, I didn't make a good shot on that buck. And that was really hard for me, right? All that work that went in. I was fortunate. I tracked him down in rifle season, but up until that point, man, every big buck that I've shot, all these ones on the wall behind me, man, perfect shot. And so I've always prided myself on making a good, clean, ethical shot. So this year with practicing even, I turned it up a notch, instead of, 20 shots a day, it was 30, 35 shots because I'm like, listen, I'm not going to be in that boat again.
I shoot all year round. I shoot a long bow and a compound bow and blah, blah, blah. Not saying I'm a better shot than anybody else, but at least if I'm going to miss one or do something bad, it wasn't my shooting, it was me, I screwed it up.
I know lots of guys, they'll go out and shoot their bow once or twice, and they'll say, oh yeah, man, I'm right there, I'm where I need to be. What I can tell you right now is when that big 4.5-year-old buck comes in, everything you just did is out the window. It all goes to muscle memory at that point because your adrenaline is flowing, you're not thinking anything. So it's all about what you did 20,000 times in your backyard, and it's all muscle memory because these big bucks, they're going to make you come unglued. You're going to lose it. So the only way that you're going to be able to hold it together and make that shot is it's going to come down to you did it so many times, you're not even thinking about it. So late summer's here. I get really serious about scouting. Beginning of July is when I really start putting cameras out, and really tracking and finding these bucks. And in the past, I've been really good at finding a buck and having them for a month and a half, 2 months before season, because they're really patternable at that time of year. You can really figure out what they're doing, where they're going. This year it's not that way. I'm all the way up to, a few days before season, and I don't have one that I'll shoot yet. And just so I qualify that, I'm looking for every year for me, I'm looking for a 4.5-year-old deer. That's what I'm looking for. That's a trophy in Pennsylvania. If you can find a 4.5-year-old buck, and up to this point, I don't have a 4.5-year-old deer.
It is Thursday, September, I think 28th. And up until now, I have not had one shooter buck on camera that I really wanted to hunt. I'm looking for, and this isn't easy in Pennsylvania, but I'm looking for a 4.5-year-old deer. And this morning, as I start most of my mornings, checking my trail cameras and looking over everything, I finally have a shooter buck. And the plan was this Saturday. It's unseasonably warm. My wife likes to hunt when it's warm. And I wasn't having anything early here that I was chasing, so I was planning on taking her out on Saturday. But this particular stand it's a tripod stand. There isn't a double set, and she doesn't hunt without me. So if this guy shows up one or two more times, he may be the one. But I'll give you a look at him. This stand is in a Whitetail Institute food plot, and I shot a really nice buck here 3 years ago, I think, 150-inch PA buck. He was a stud that I targeted. And this particular stand, I don't ever go into. It's a rut stand. It's in the middle of the thick stuff. But as anybody who follows me, and I say all the time, if you get a shooter buck, it doesn't matter where your stand's at, you get on them in the early season. The early season, in my opinion, one of the best times to shoot a big buck. But I'll give you a look. It's kind of hard to see. He's walking away. He's not in there very long, but he's definitely a mature deer. So anyway, we'll wait and see. I haven't decided yet. We'll wait and see what he does here the next couple of days. But if he shows up one or two more times, but he showed up, it says 7:20 yesterday evening, so that would be about perfect. So daylight hours, shooter buck, things are looking up.
Okay, Liza, you want the good news or the bad news?
Doesn't matter.
Well, the good news is that buck is there again. You've heard me talk about it. I haven't had a shooter buck, and he's been there. This is the third day, and I really feel strongly that I need to go hunt him the first day. And I know I promised you we were going to go out because it's nice and warm like you like, but that stand's only set up for one person, and I wouldn't be able to be with you. So if you're okay with it, I'm going to go after that buck on the first day. You okay?
I'm fine.
All right. Well, I got the official stamp of approval. The game plan is on. I'm going after that buck.
No, I never anticipate Jason getting anything the first day. Not that he's not capable of it, just it's like one of those things, like the first day, if you get your buck the first day, then you're like essentially done. And I think he likes the thrill of the journey and the thrill of the game, and who wants to be done the first minute that you're out there.
So, opening days here, again, I think if anybody watches any of my videos, theme is warm. It's warm again, but it is what it is. And I've talked about this a lot. The particular stand where I'm getting this buck is one of my stands I call one of my rut stands. It's up against the thick stuff. And I was fortunate. I shot a really big buck in here, one behind me, a 150-inch PA whitetail 3 or 4 years ago in this same stand. And it's one I usually don't go into until later season. But if you get on a deer and the deer's patterned, you go after that deer. So I'm going in, it's warm, and I decided right away, again, you're walking through all the thick stuff, so I'm gonna hop on my Baku e-bike. It's quiet, I can get in there super quiet. So I make the trip up and get in and gonna get in the tripod, get in the stand, and it wasn't long, had some does coming in and things like that, and then had a couple smaller bucks come in as well, and that was cool, and they were pushing the does around a little bit. And
the buck I ended up shooting here 3 years ago, he was hard to my right. And I didn't get a great kill shot just because there was a lot of stuff there. So I'm hopeful I get a bet if the stars line up and I get lucky enough tonight that he comes out here instead of over there. So, but a big buck like this, I'm not going to mess around. I'll let it rip, but hopefully he comes where he's been coming, and he reads the script and it all works out. So 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, but when it does, it's pretty awesome. So that's a good buck. He's just on the other side. He's oh shit, I think he has someone I'm looking for. He's over here. There's 3 other bucks. He's making a scream just on the other side of this bush. I need him to come around the other side.
All of a sudden, to my left, I hear one. I think it's scraping or something. It's making some noise. And I had an idea it was a buck, and I'm kind of, all right, maybe this is him. And I'm on edge, and this bigger buck comes in, and he pushes off this doe. And at this point, I think that's my buck. Like it's a nice big body, I think 4.5-year-old deer. And I'm kind of looking, and I'm up, like I'm gonna shoot him because I think it's him. And then I'm looking at the rack, and I was like, oh, it doesn't seem like it's as big as what it was on my trail camera, but that's a mature deer, and I'm gonna shoot him. And he kind of goes around the corner, and I'm up, and I'm waiting for him, and it's starting to get dark at this point. It's getting pretty close to last light, and he's just on the other side of this bush. All these 3 bucks are all over on the right side. He's doing a scrape, hitting the tree, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm up, and I'm ready. As soon as he comes around that corner, I'm gonna shoot him. And then I look to my left, and you just see it coming, and it's rack, and I'm like, that's him. You know, it wasn't that guy. I'm like, holy crap, I almost shot this one. So this one comes in, and it happens fast. Like, you know, I'm standing up, and I turned the camera. I kept it zoomed out because I didn't even want to play with it. Comes down in front, give him a couple grunts. He stops, let it rip. And I think at that time, I made a really good shot.
What a stud. I think I made a really good shot. Yes. I think I heard him crash. My first day out.
I'm sitting there in the stand, obviously shaking, losing. Anytime you have a big mature whitetail, and sitting there thinking to myself, what are the chances, right? Like I hunted 70 different sits last year trying to kill my buck. This year, 1 sit, right? 1 sit. And I'm just sitting there like, what are the chances of that? You know, and you're super excited, and you have the adrenaline rush. And I'm just sitting there, and, you know, I think I said it to the camera, I'm 99.99% sure I just put a really good shot on that buck, and I thought I heard him crash. So, you know, general rule of thumb, when you have something like that, you give him half hour, 45 minutes. So I just sat there and just kind of took it all in, and was just, you know, super thankful.
Nice thing about your nocturnals is lighted nocks is they're easy to find. So we're gonna get down here and see what blood we have. Yeah. Oh yeah. I think he's in trouble. Arrow looks really good. I'm gonna leave it right here. All right, here we go. Really starting to open up now. Oh boy. Yikes. I don't think he's gonna be far. All right, we've been trailing him, I don't know, 70, 75 yards. Man, it's been a bloodbath. I can't think he's gonna be much farther. Looks like he hopped this fence. Looks like he.
Oh, I see a white belly. Haha. I knew this joker couldn't have been far. Oh yeah. Woo! Look at that joker. Yes. What a hog. Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir. Check out that shot.
Hello?
Hey,
Yeah?
you want the good news or the bad news?
Good news.
Well, the good news is I shot my buck first night.
Are you
So
first? Are you serious?
I did. I'm tagged out already. First, talk about two opposite seasons, right? So last year, coming off hunting all those times, and man, I've never done that before. Shot one on the first day, but I got him. So
That's a miracle.
You want the bags?
What?
You're gonna have to go hunt with me all the time now.
Not unless it's warm out.
Yeah. All right, honey. Well, I gotta go get him taken care of. But he's a dandy. He's a good buck. So just wanted to call and gloat a little bit and tell you I love you.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The thing I've learned in hunting, you never count anything till you put your hands on that deer, but felt really, really good that I made a good shot. Just sitting there kind of taking it in and thinking about the tale of two seasons, right? Last year to this year. And, and I was thankful for that experience last year. Am I thankful that I didn't have to sit 70 times? Because there were times I said it wasn't enjoyable, right? Like it wasn't fun anymore, but that's what it took.
Buddy of mine, he says, oh yeah, you get a 2-year-old deer, just about anybody can get one of them. He said, you get a 3-year-old deer, you get a little wiser. He said, but you get the 4 or 5-year-old, they're almost unkillable. So to pull this off, you got to really have your ducks in a row and paying attention to everything.
People say, oh, you shot 5 or 6 big ones. As soon as I start taking that for granted, I know, especially in Pennsylvania, to be able to shoot bucks like that, it's just, I know my luck's going to run out eventually, but I'm going to ride it as long as I can. And to put my hands on an animal like that, I just don't want to ever take it for granted. So was super excited to get up there, made a perfect shot.
These are always best rides home. Let's go throw them in the truck.
All the hard work, all the time that you put in, from the food plots and the habitat management to the practicing all the time, it all came together, and there's what you get, right? And was just super, super thankful to be in that position, and just the tale of two seasons, right? Just couldn't have been any different than the season before. But there was part of me, I was a little bit sad the season was over, but I was a little bit thankful that I wasn't going to go through what I went through the year before. My firm belief is luck really didn't have anything to do with it. It's all the hard work and the preparation that goes into it. And what I've found in my life consistently is the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? They go hand in hand. Now do I say too, I'm extremely thankful, and I think somebody's looking out for me, right? I do believe that I've had a lot of breaks in my life, but when people change that mindset of like, oh, hey, you just got lucky, or, a lot of luck was involved. Sure, a lot of things have to play out to be successful in hunting, but I will come back to every single time, it feels like the harder I work, the luckier I get.
Oh, you like it? It's dripping too. You gave the Sauce Gardner. Pretty paper.
One day,
Pretty
season's a
ribbon.
wrap.